if you should say something or not say something as a leader. This comes up a lot because as leaders, and specifically as women in leadership, we tend to deal with a lot. There's a lot of information that we're told. There's a lot of confidential information that is shared to us. So in this video, I'm going to share with you why you do not need to say everything out loud and why this itself is a mistake in leadership. And if you've ever done this before, I'm going to share with you a way that you can potentially recover from this mistake. And of course, I'm going to talk a bit more about why this is a mistake, what happens when this takes place. And I'm actually going to share with you, if I have time, at least 2 stories that I have either personally dealt with or been a part of where there's been a leader that has said something out loud. Now, this is an important topic because as you are navigating your role as a leader, whether you're in the very early stages of your leadership journey, or perhaps you're in the middle or you're toward the end, there are going to be times where you are just not sure if you need to say something out loud. So I'm going to give you some scenarios as to when you should, when you shouldn't, what I've experienced, and how it can impact you and how you can recover if you've done this mistake before. This is a live video, so I do want to say there typically is a portion of the live where people will start to join. I will say hello to them and greet them. So just give me just a few moments just to at least say hello to the people that are attending live. If you're watching this right now, then you are watching the replay. And I appreciate you so much for being here and spending a few moments out of your day with me as well. So just bear with me as people join the live. I'll break away for a few moments to say hello, and then we'll get right into the content for today. So I appreciate all of you who are joining right now. Welcome, welcome. Feel free to let me know if you have ever been in a situation where you have said something out loud or you were just not sure if you needed to say something out loud as a leader. Let me know in the comments below. This is a very common struggle that many leaders face. Women in leadership face this also. This is a big challenge for individuals. So I first want to start off by saying that if this actually happens, there's a lot that goes into it. And so I want to talk to you a bit about why this is a big leadership mistake. I see this leadership mistake happen often in your newer leaders, but then I also see it happen in experienced leaders as well. So hello, those of you who have joined. I appreciate you being here today. Brody, hello, welcome. I hope you're doing well today. Let me know what part of the world you are joining from today. And if you are interested in learning a lot more about how you can avoid leadership mistakes by saying things out loud that you don't need to say out loud, then subscribe to the channel. Feel free to subscribe to the channel. I have a lot of great information as it relates to leadership here. So let me know if you have any questions as it relates to this topic. What I see a lot of times my clients face is that they don't know, should I say this out loud or should I not say this out loud? So this is the place for you to be today. If you're trying to elevate yourself and communicate at a higher level and avoid these rookie mistakes, I would say, as leaders, then this is where you want to be. Let me know if you have any questions specifically. So we have another person, Hargreaves Kid. I believe if I had said it incorrectly, I'm sorry about that. Let's see, you're talking about someone cheated on you and you're planning something. Okay, well, if you have anything specific as it relates to not saying things out loud, then let me know. I'm here to help you. I focus more so on leadership and really advancing in your careers. So I'm going to go right into that. This is a common occurrence. This is definitely a specific issue that comes up quite often. I have Zach T. Ombre. Hello, welcome. This live stream, the question was, what is this live stream about? This live stream is about a mistake that leaders make. And a lot of times leaders will make the mistake of saying things out loud that they shouldn't say out loud. So in this live stream, I'm going to share with you, one, what happens when you do this, and two, a couple scenarios that I've actually experienced and how it really impacts your executive presence as a leader. So we're going to dive into that today. And if you have conversations or if you have any questions specifically as it relates to advancing yourself as a leader and elevating your communication skills to speak at a higher level than your peers, and this is the place where you want to be, feel free to subscribe. I'll be happy to join you and be able to help you on your journey. And thank you, Zach T. Ombre, for the thumbs up. I appreciate that. And if you have any questions, let me know. Let me know where you all are joining from in this big, beautiful world today as well. So this happens a lot with leaders, and I consider this to be a rookie mistake. And I say rookie because people that are just starting out in leadership make this mistake all the time. However, by me saying rookie, that doesn't mean it's only rookies making this mistake. I have seen seasoned leaders, C-suite executives make this mistake. So why do you not want to say everything out loud? And I'm going to go specifically in terms of what happens when you say information out loud that was told to you in private. When you do things like this particular situation, when you say things out loud that are not meant to be said out loud, such as confidential information from a peer or an employee, information that you know would negatively impact someone's life. These are type of situations where you do not want to say information out loud. This is the fastest way for you to completely damage your executive presence as a leader and to lose trust with your team. Please do not do this. Sometimes what I've noticed and why this actually happens is that individuals, they just get caught into the moment. What I mean specifically by that is this normally will happen in a group setting where there's at least 2 or 3 people in the group. And you'll have one person that starts talking about something, and the conversation starts to become lax. You have that group of camaraderie there. People feel like they can just let their hair down or just say whatever they want to say. And then people start talking and they start saying things that are not appropriate. So let me share with you 2 scenarios I've actually experienced or been a part of where someone has said something out loud that they shouldn't have, and they were in a leadership manager type of role. The very first scenario was a situation where there was a person that I at the time was working with, and this is many, 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 many years ago. And this person was actually starting a side business. She decided to start her own side business while she was working in a specific profession. And while she was working her side business, she went and had a conversation with her manager, leader of the particular organization at that time, and told her that she was starting her side business. Now, normally you would think that this is something that is okay for you to discuss with your manager, especially if you have the feeling that your manager is helping you or trying to help you advance in your career. So I can see why this particular individual may have felt very comfortable with this particular manager to say what she said about her starting her own side business. I understand that. And especially when you're looking for mentorship and guidance, you do want to have somebody you can talk to. We all are elevating in our careers. We all have individuals that we aspire to learn more from and feel comfortable talking about very sensitive information too. And so this is what happened. She told the information to the manager or leader of the organization. At that time, she was starting a side business. Let's say her name is Susie. So Susie told her manager, Mary, I'm starting a side business. This is what's going on. And I just want to let you know. Not for anything else, but I just want to let you know what's going on. Mary says, oh, wow, that's exciting. I'm so incredibly happy for you. And this is great. Wish you all the best on your journey and good luck. So Susie leaves the office and Susie says, oh, wow, I feel great that I was actually able to share that with Mary. Mary's such a good manager and I appreciate her. Well, this is what Mary did. Mary went to tell other people, and Mary's the leader now. Mary went to go tell other people in the office that Susie was starting her own side business. Now, what do you think? Do you think that was appropriate? Let me know in the comments below. I really want to know what you all think about this, because now you have your manager, your leader, telling other people in your company that you are starting your own side business when you spread this information in confidence. So what happens next? Every time Mary walks by and Susie just so happens to be on her phone, on her mobile device, looking around or doing something. Automatically, Mary and the rest of the people in the organization think, you see Susie? Susie is on her phone. Susie must be working on her business. She can't do that during company hours. That's not okay. You may think this is a made-up story. This is a real story that actually happened. Now, Susie did not have the chance to find out that Mary told other people in the organization this, but I share this because you do not need to say everything out loud. So let's think about this scenario and think of how could we have done this differently if we were Mary and Susie. Well, first, you have to understand as leaders, people are going to come to you. You are the leader. People are going to have a lot of stress. They're going to have a lot of drama. They're going to have a lot of things, topics, concerns that they are personally dealing with at work and perhaps outside of work. And when you step into that role as leader, you do not want to make the mistake of making your specific interaction with your team members one that they can't trust you. So you don't want to do that. So when these situations actually take place, you have to really appreciate the person that's coming to speak with you, because the person that's coming to speak with you is sharing information with you. Whether the information is interesting to you or maybe you're not interested, the person is still feeling like they can talk to you. So you should always respect that and always honor that and be appreciative of it, because they could have went and told someone else or they could have kept it to themselves. So that's the first thing that I would say that could be done differently in this scenario that I shared with you from Mary's point of view. Mary should have thought, okay, Susie is coming to talk to me about a specific issue. Let me listen to what Susie has to say and let her know I appreciate her. So now Mary did tell her she was happy for her, right? She did tell her she was happy for her. But what is the other mistake that was made? Now, this is the mistake that you may think I probably shouldn't say, but on this channel, I talk about real situations and real scenarios that happen in the wonderful world of leadership. Now, what should not have happened in this case is that Susie should not have said something to Mary about her part-time business. You may be wondering, well, maybe Susie just wanted to talk to Mary about her business and they had a good relationship. Well, that's great. However, I do want to say that Mary could have kept that information to herself. You may be wondering, why? Like, what's the big deal? She's just starting her business. It's a little bit different when you are starting a business and you are working for an organization. You have to be very mindful of what you say, and everything you're doing does not need to be said out loud. Mary could have came from a different perspective of just wanting to be a leader and helping her and listening. Susie could have easily not said anything. She should have kept this to herself. This is something I tell a lot of my clients too. And for those of you who are in a career transition, this would be for anybody. Maybe you are in the middle of your leadership journey, or you may be at the end of your leadership journey as a C-suite or a VP, when you know you're at the place where you are going to go to that next level in your career. Maybe you're going to become an entrepreneur. Maybe you're going to become a consultant or something along those lines. This is for you. You do not need to share your business information with other people until the timing is right for you to do so, because it will cause you a lot of stress, a lot of headaches, and a lot of frustration in your current role. There's some things that you just need to keep quiet about, and you just don't need to say anything about it. And that's just me giving you my very, very humble opinion about it. So Susie should have not said anything. Susie should have just kept that information to herself, worked on her business on the side, kept her head down, and just continued to do her side business and not necessarily let Mary know. So that's the one area this could have been changed. Now, Susie did still say it. She did still make the conversation. She did still say, I'm starting my own business. So what else could Mary have done differently? Okay. Mary could have been authentic and been genuine and really cared about her. Because remember, I told you what was Mary's response. Do you remember? If you're watching this live, we're talking about a scenario that happened when there's times when you do not need to say everything out loud. And we're talking about a scenario, so we're working through how we would have done this differently. Now, Mary said to Susie she was happy for her, she was excited for her, but really, was Mary happy? Was Mary excited? No, she was not. There's no way Mary was happy and excited for her, because if Mary was happy and excited for her, then Mary would not have went and told the other co-workers about Susie starting her home business. That's not what leaders do. Leaders know how to keep information safe. They know how to keep information confidential. Now, if Mary had any questions, and maybe she misunderstood the dialogue she had with Susie, and she thought, well, Susie's just talking to me. Susie's going to want me to tell everybody. Oh, I'm going to just share it with all of the companies so everybody knows that Susie's starting her own business. One question that Mary should have asked Susie, if she really wanted to know, and this is something I have done personally as a C-suite executive, as a director, as a manager, when you have those very sensitive conversations that come up when someone is sharing information with you as a leader, and you are just not sure if should I talk about it to other people or not, or do they want me to, ask a question. So Mary should have asked the question, Susie, this is great. I'm really excited for you. Is this something that you want me to share with the team? And wait for Susie's response. This would have been a better way for Mary to handle this situation like a leader, because Mary is asking permission to talk about this information or not. Oftentimes what happens in leadership roles, and when you're trying to develop your executive presence and etc., that we become too lax. And this is a mistake that people make as leaders, is they become too lax and they talk too much and they say things they're not supposed to say out loud. Now, if Mary would have just asked that very simple question to Susie, is this something that you want me to share with the team? That would have at least given Susie the opportunity to say, yes, sure, you can share it with the team. And then at that point, that was Susie's choice. Susie could have said, oh, no, I just wanted to let you know. I don't want you to tell everybody else. Then that still would have given Susie a choice. Sometimes as leaders, people will come to you with very sensitive information or information they may not necessarily want to have shared. And even though they say something that you know might not be the best thing for them to talk to you about in a business setting, we have to do one of two things. You can either keep that information to yourself and don't repeat it, or you can ask permission if you feel like it's something that might be celebratory and that you may want to talk to your team about. That is what we do as leaders. If someone comes and tells us something inappropriate, or maybe that they probably shouldn't have told me about at work, then you have to be that person that can maintain that confidence, that trust, and just keep the information to yourself. Don't repeat it to other people. Or if you have a question, ask permission. Would you like for me to share this with other people? Ask permission first, because this is very, very, very important. And I emphasize this scenario because there's so many people, there's so many leaders, women in leadership, men in leadership, that make this mistake. They will talk about something someone else told them, and they're not supposed to do that as leaders. They're not. And so this is how this situation could have been handled differently. The other part of that is, let's say we know that Mary did not ask Susie for permission to say it. So then what could have Mary done different? What could have Mary done differently? Mary could have just not said anything. She could have just kept it in her mind and listened to Susie. Susie's starting her own business. Fantastic. That's great. This is wonderful for Susie, and kept it to herself. But Mary went and told everybody else. Now, you're not always sure as leaders what people's intentions are. And I say this often, and I talk about this in detail in The Real Executive Woman, because we go through very real scenarios that come up that you have to protect yourself from as a woman in leadership. You do not know everybody's intentions. And if someone's telling you something very private, very personal, if you tell it to other people, they may sit there and say, oh, I don't like that, or they may become jealous of that person or give them a hard time. And then you've basically opened up an environment that is condoning gossiping and talking about subjects and topics that do not need to be said out loud. That is not what you want to create as a leader. You don't want to create that type of environment where people are doing certain things like that. So you may be wondering, well, what happened? You mentioned that Susie told Mary, Mary told the team, and they started singling her out. Well, Mary ended up getting herself in a situation where she had to leave the company. And a lot of it came down to how she handled herself as a leader. So I give you the scenario that happened with Susie. But if this scenario happened with Susie, this scenario happened with other leaders too. And so when you notice that your leader, your manager, your C-suite, your whoever you're reporting to has done anything like that, you need to be very careful, because if they did it to you, they will do it to other people. And in this scenario, Mary ended up leaving the organization in very, very bad terms, because there was other things going on that Mary was doing that was pretty much similar to what she did to Susie. Now, Susie, to my knowledge, I don't think that she knew Mary said this, but she did communicate with people that knew about it. So there may have been a time where that came out, maybe outside of the office or outside of when Mary left. But I just want to share with you, there are certain things that you do not need to say out loud. And this is a mistake leaders make all of the time. Regardless of their level, leaders make this specific type of mistake. And there's just certain conversations you just do not need to say out loud. And there's certain topics that you do not need to say out loud. There is a video, or not a live, but a recorded video on my channel that specifically talks about how not to tell your business at work. It's an older video on my channel. I remembered it just from talking about this scenario with a client of mine, but it is a very good video for you to watch. It is, if this is something that you've struggled with, perhaps as a leader you've done something like this, or perhaps as an individual you've shared or overshared information in a setting, and I can talk more about this if you let me know in the comments below if you want me to learn to talk about this a bit more. But if you've ever struggled with this, check out that video. It is helpful for you to start setting those boundaries of what you discuss and what you do not discuss with certain types of people. It's very helpful. It will give you some clarity that I know a lot of my audience want to have. Even if they're not women in leadership, they want to be able to gain clarity in terms of how they manage themselves as leaders. So check out that video. I believe it is How Not to Tell Your Business at Work, I believe. But it is a video on my channel. So not my lives, but this is actually a pre-recorded video that's older. So I want to know from you, have you learned something from this situation? Have you ever experienced something like this? I personally have. I'm going to tell you when I actually experienced this situation before, and this is me personally. So many years ago, I was in a director role. I was in a director role, and my boss at the time was someone I thought that I could trust. And this is way before I did more and transitioned into C-suite. So this is very, very early on in my journey. I thought that my manager I could trust. This is the reason why I thought I could trust my manager. My manager actually helped me to get a job right after I finished up with the dental school, and I was in a director role, and really helped me to facilitate that. And so I had a lot of conversations with my manager at the time about just professionally how I want to advance and etc. Well, I was at a crossroads in that particular time, and I was at the point where I was going to have to relocate from the state I was living in at the time to a state that was on the other side of the country. And the manager, I thought my boss at the time, I had two bosses. I had one indirect and then one was my CEO at the time. And I thought I could share this information with my manager because my manager I had been working with a lot closer than my CEO. And I was not at the point where I wanted to announce publicly that I was going to be leaving the organization because I had a higher level senior leadership role. So I talked to my boss about it and I said, boss, this is what's going on. I have a big transition. I have a huge opportunity. I'm going to have to end up leaving the organization. I just want to talk to you about it first and let you know before I end up letting my CEO know. So I thought I was like Mary. Oh, I was like Susie. I thought that this was going to be okay. I thought that this was going to be okay and that this was not going to be an issue. My boss would keep this a secret, right? Right? No, my boss did not keep it a secret. What my boss did went straight to my CEO and told my CEO I was going to be leaving. Not okay. Definitely not okay. And so what happened is when I talked to my CEO about it, the conversation was very awkward because it didn't come from me directly that I was actually going to be leaving. My boss at the time decided to make that comment. So why do I share this with you? I shared with you a situation that happened to Susie and the conflict with Susie and Mary. But I wanted to share with you personally that I've dealt with this. I've dealt with these situations on a personal and professional level. And I know how it feels when you feel like you can talk to someone, you can confide in them, and only to have that person essentially tell your public business out there to other people that you didn't want to know that information first. So the reason I say this is because I want you to understand that this happens even if you're in a senior leadership role. These are senior leaders. This happens all the time. And this is irrespective of the number of years of leadership someone has. They can be leaders for 1 year. They can be leaders for 30 years and still make this type of mistake if they are not at that higher level of leadership, which is the reason why you are subscribed to my channel, hopefully, and you are liking this video because I teach you how to develop those next level, higher level communication skills that will help you elevate to that next level in your career and communicate at a higher level than your peers. This has happened. It happened to me. It was not good. I did not like it, and I learned my lesson. And I want you all to not make the mistakes that I personally made when I was early on in my career that can cost you your reputation. It can cost you your planning. It can just really cost you a lot, even financially too. This is what happens, and I want you all to avoid it. So if you are a leader and you've ever made this mistake, let's say you've talked to someone and you've mentioned about this is a situation, I've said something out loud that I should not have said. How can you recover? How can you recover? Because people have done this. How can you recover? That's one of the questions my clients ask me. Well, what can I do? How can I recover? How can I get away from this? The first thing that you need to do is you need to acknowledge first that you made a mistake. And then you need to have a conversation with the person that you spoke with and shared the information to. Now, it's going to hurt. The person is not going to like it, and you can already just basically say at that point in time, your executive presence is going to take a major, major loss on this particular day because you are doing something that is not executive-like. But you need to have a conversation with that person and just say, oh, there was a conversation that came up, and there's some information that I discussed with them that was that they were concerned about, and etc. And I apologize for that. I'm really big. If you make a mistake, just apologize for it. If you made a mistake, apologize for it. Yes, it might be uncomfortable, but this is why you follow this channel. We talk about hard conversations, and this is something I can talk a lot more about. If you need me to, just let me know in the comments below. But if you make a mistake, just say you're sorry about it. Apologize for the mistake and do what you can to try to move forward with everything. The next thing you want to do is to try to rebuild your relationship with that particular person. So if you said something that you didn't need to say out loud, and you've told the person that, okay, I had a conversation with this person, etc., and I did let them know that this is confidential, this is very important to please not share, then you have to try to just work on building that relationship with the person. And sometimes it may not even work out again. This is why I want you all to avoid this mistake at all costs, because this is one of the biggest mistakes that leaders make that can cost you your executive presence. It can cost you how your team perceives you. It can cost your leadership. It can cost you an advancement. It can cause you to get terminated. It can cause you not to start your business. Is that enough reasons? I hope that's enough reasons why you do not need to say some things out loud. You do not need to say some things out loud. So I hope that you all receive some value in this video. And if you like this video, if you learned anything of how to operate differently as a woman in leadership or in a leadership or individual in a leadership role that's following my YouTube channel, then leave me a thumbs up. That it truly does help the algorithm in terms of, let me not necessarily say the algorithm. I would say it helps the information to get out to other individuals that may be interested in the same type of information. So feel free to leave me a thumbs up if you like it. And then also feel free to subscribe to the channel. If this information was helpful to you, I talk about real situations, real strategies, real complex situations that come up in the world as leaders. And I deal a bit more with more complicated situations. That's just my expertise. I'm used to dealing with very hard situations that come up. So if you have something that you want to talk about and you're not really quite sure of, well, how do I manage this really hard situation? Maybe you are dealing with office politics, or maybe you're trying to transition into another job role and you're just not sure how to do it. Or maybe you're trying to develop your executive presence, but something is off. Maybe you're trying to go to that next level in your leadership journey. Maybe you are a C-suite and you're trying to transition into entrepreneurship or consulting, and you're just not quite sure what do you do. Maybe you feel like you've reached a glass ceiling that a lot of my women in leadership clients tell me about. Set up some time and look in the description below. There is a link to a strategy session where we can have a brief call. We'll talk about where you are, and then if I feel like it's a good fit where you may need an executive strategy session where we dive deep and come up with a very customized plan just for you, then I will share that with you. If not, we'll talk about some other options that may help you. And that is what we do here. We work together, we build a foundation, we come up with a plan so that you can move forward. I can help you as an executive coach go to that next level in your career faster than what you would normally have been to on your own. That's my specialty. That's my expertise. This is what I do. So let me know if y'all have any questions specifically as it relates to this topic. Let me know, have you ever experienced this? Have you ever experienced the story that I've experienced, the situation that I personally experienced? I didn't like it, and so that's why I am at a heightened level of leadership, because I know how it feels to have your information shared to people when you weren't really ready to do so. All right, until the next video, I will see you all soon. I appreciate you all so much for spending so much of your time with me this evening on this live. It's about a half hour, so I'm so glad that you all stayed with me and are watching the video. I appreciate your support so much. And if you have topics that you want me to talk more about, then feel free to put them in the comments below. Just let me know. I'm here to support you. I will absolutely do a video just for you. I've done it several times on my channel already for my subscribers. So if you have something that comes up, let me know. I'll see you all in the next video. Bye for now.